impact?
Quality on materials and everything else is still, pretty varied. Some titles are upscales and also to some version showing some titles plus up. Would it be possible to do screenshots on the Mania DVDs or on the Mania reviews, or is there are there just issues of getting images on?
Yeah, it's a time issue more than anything else, because I spend the day out. I spend maybe 4 hours watching physical discs during the day, and then I'm watching some days on minimum 4 simulcasts that I'm writing about right on the spot. I do that, and then in the evenings after I sit down and I watch my entertainment, prime time TV shows and sitcom stuff. That's when I'm writing my Blu-ray and DVD reviews, and I'm doing that on a netbook. To go down and then load it up into my main desktop and go through, find the shot, it's just, I don't find it to be conducive to my time, and then the back-end system trying to load it, do everything. It's not, a simple WordPress site. And then by the time I do that, somebody's already ripped and compared to the Japanese Blu-ray release 3 or 4 weeks prior. So. Yeah. The people that really want to see the screenshots, they know to go there and look for them. And the ones that aren't influenced by it, because they're not going to see the difference. You go through some of those threads and you'll see, here's the 2 releases. And to a lot of people, they look identical, even though other people are like, there's a huge flaw right there, and that big circle around it, and you're looking at it like, I don't see anything wrong. It's like looking at the sailboat. There's no sailboat. So it's that kind of issue.
Wow,
and
schooner.
I have to fit it into a nice little 400 pixel space, because the site doesn't allow for anything to go bigger. If I upload a full-size, 10 meg picture, it's going to reduce it down to that no matter what. So you're like, well, why'd you bother, is what it comes down to. So I'd like to do it, but it's just not conducive to everything else that I'm doing. All right, the brown.
Do you feel that the Aniplex and NIS hurting the American industry at all with, not releasing certain titles to Funimation or anything like that?
The only way it hurts is that there's no dubs for most of it. That's the only real pain that people feel, because they say, well, I could have had a dub if it went there. But what it comes down to is that if Funimation didn't pick it up, or if it was, most of the time they are open offers, or the companies go and try and bid on it. It gets to the point where the US company basically says, it's not worth it for me to acquire that because of what they want, and I wouldn't be able to make my money back by doing a dub and everything else. So it's kind of a loss, but on the other hand, it's a Japanese company saying, well, we want this because it's their value. They place a lot more value on their titles because they are big in Japan. It says sell 70,000 copies there and 2,000 here. They're going to treat it as a 70,000 seller. So they don't want to sell it cheap. They don't want to weaken the value of their product. So they'll do the opposite approach, say, well, I'll release it myself, I'll take the hit, and know that I put what I wanted to into it. But before, it used to be a thing of, well, it's like Galactic Heroes. Everybody wants it. The price is too high, but we don't get it at all. Now with like Aniplex and INS, we at least get it. It may not be exactly how we want, but we at least get to see it in a decent package and everything. Up and grab stuff. I have tons of stuff.
Yep.
Your name's not Bonnie. That's Bonnie. Then I'll get you.
I'm wondering, what kind of an impact are U.S. properties, and I'm thinking in particular of things like Supernatural on TV, having on the Japanese market as far as sales are concerned?
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of other properties being also picked up from U.S. television, also being turned into anime?
Yeah, Supernatural really surprised me. I think that came out of the blue. Nobody was like expecting that. And then have a couple of the actual actors provide a couple small voice parts to it too. I don't know how Supernatural did in terms of sales, because I don't follow Japanese rankings that closely. And I don't remember if it actually aired on TV or not. I know they talked about the home video release and everything.
Right.
So if it was just a video, I don't know how popular Supernatural is in Japan to begin with. You know, so it was a very weird situation.
Yeah, I was trying to understand the relationship and whether or not that was something like, maybe we're gonna see a Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, you never know what's going to get done, but that one, I haven't been able to put my finger on that one.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand it myself.
I almost wonder if it was more a thing of Warner Brothers saying, hey, let's try and do something a little different, because they've been doing like the Gotham Knights and the other things, and it's a Warner property. They have the Warner Japan and their video section there and everything, and they've done Appleseed and a couple of other projects, and they're like, hey, you know, we have this, why don't we try something that's horror, which fits in well in Japan.
Right.
And, you know, if Supernatural's airing over there, maybe it does have a nice little fan base that Warner Japan said, let's try it.
Right.
You know, and then they have the cross advantage of being able to sell it here again.
True.
So,
Although I would think, though, that right from the start, that they would try to make it, you know, be available for sale at the same time, U.S. and Japanese release, so.
Japan.
It still doesn't-
It's Japan. That's all it is, it's Japan.
I don't get it.
I can't, nobody gets it. You know, it's the Matrix, you can't understand it until you're in it, you know? All right, Pete.
So, speaking of Warner's, what are your thoughts on the live-action casting controversy over?
There's no controversy. Every time I watch Akira, they're white, they're not Japanese. Come on. You know, you watch all these anime shows, do they really look Japanese? I don't see the controversy. Yeah, it would amuse me. I mean, I knew it was going to happen. They've been talking about it for years, you know, and especially, that one's, you know, really a Japanese show. It's not like if you're going to do Robotech, or even Macross, or all these other things. That had like an international feel to it. You could get away with that. Akira was just, I'm going to give you porn.
You okay with that?
Right on.
All right, just don't get it to the kids, all right?
Kids, close your eyes.
I'm amused by the controversy because we had it with Airbender, and that didn't change a thing, and I know that ticked a lot of people off that still went to see the movie though. So I watch Akira and I want to see it go forward, whitewashed, just because it's going to be a huge cluster. It's going to be nothing but generate controversy, anger, rage, and then they're going to go see it. And then they're going to rage some more. So people just thrive off of that. So, I mean, I'm with like George Takei on the thing. You got to stop doing it. You know, you got to, you're never going to have strong Asian actors until you actually do it. You're never going to have strong women action heroes until you do it. And we did, and we got some of them. We're getting there on that. It's the same thing with this, you know, but we're a strange culture.
It's America.
It's America! You can't understand it, even if you're in it. Let's see, who else have I not picked on yet? All right, in the black hat back there. I'm trying to get everybody for at least one question first.
With releasing a Blu-ray, is there any like discontinued titles that are on DVD that will be released again on Blu-ray? Or like a lot of the older titles, like the first anime I ever saw was The Lensman, and like how far back is Blu-ray looking to release anime, or is like the older anime going to just die out with Blu-ray?
It'll be like when things were licensed for a long time, in that they will get to some of them eventually. It's a double-edged thing. One, they have their actual sales to go by from years ago, so they know how well it did. Another one is whether it's profitable to release it today to begin with as well. The rights issues. Because if you had a title from the 90s or even the first part of the decade, even the first half of the decade, your licensing rights were very straightforward. You had video, VHS, and DVD. Now you gotta go back and buy a new license just for the Blu-ray rights. There's an advantage to going back to a lot of it because you're getting film prints that you can get a lot more quality out of, but you may not have good quality masters either. So it's your advantage to wait for the Japanese to go and say, all right, we've put out everything we have from the last 5 years. Now they're going back and doing remasters of stuff that we never thought we'd see remastered again. You know, they had, I never expected to see Cardcaptor Sakura put on Blu-ray. And they've got the TV series, the movies, but they go and remaster it all and clean it up. So now if the US company says, hey, let's go after this license, they know they have good materials to go after. You want to see everything eventually, but some things are good to wait. Just because they'll go back, and for a lot of this, they may not even have it. It all got burned, thrown in the trash, lost the masters. I mean, the sad stories we've heard about some of these things. You know, they open a filing cabinet, it's like, oh, hey, dirty pair. We thought we lost that years ago, you know? That's what you hear out of these shows, like from like the Japanese convention shows. So they'll get to a lot of it eventually, but it's a slow wait. But we've had a slow wait for everything to begin with, so it's just more of the same.
I noticed that in Japan they have made some new anime, but they only release a lot of the manga.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that they like the American companies could go out and license those anime additional episodes?
Those I haven't said too much about. The original, we call them OADs, the direct-to-video with the manga ties. I personally haven't watched any of them, but those are completely separate licenses, so it's not something that's like, well, if we're going after Kenshin, and there's a Kenshin manga version as well, that's not included in it. So they have to negotiate separately for that. I'm hoping that we'll start seeing some of those picked up if they can be bought for cheap. Because it's a thing of being able to sample different things. You can get a smaller company like a Sentai or an NIS or somebody else, or Bandai or Media Blasters, to go in and say, we're just going to do a little one-off. It probably won't get a dub, but if it's a 30-minute show, it may be worthwhile. You sell it for $10, you get it out there, you know, you're good. But I haven't heard anybody really licensing anything like that. And if they're going to do it, they're going to look for it to be classified as an extra anyway. Because it's hard to count that as content, because it's just a sell in order to get an actual series going. That's where half of them come from. They're just trying to raise awareness of the manga because they're trying to get a TV deal or a movie deal for it. So they're almost like pilots. And a lot of times we never see the pilots actually come out after that don't get it'd be neat to see them. I'd like to see them, but it's one of those little weird areas that it's just hard to pin down what's going on with it.
Do you personally like it better when opening themes are dubbed or are they subbed?
My preferences?
Yes.
I prefer everything subbed. That's where I exist on this. I mean, I grew up watching the dub stuff because that's all there was, but I've always been more interested in the cultural side. That's why when I started watching anime, I was doing things like, you know, the Robotech, the action shows. But then when I got to the Urusei and Suras, which were very cultural, I was like, I'm not getting the same experience watching a dub.
Yeah.
And I started to really understand the language. Most people don't. A lot of people do, but most people just want to watch the show. But I wanted to get into the culture, how it works, the nuance of it, because they are cartoons, but even with our cartoons, we have some nuance to a lot of the shows, you know, the Looney Tunes and so forth. So that's what I wanted out of it, and I have bad ears. So part of that, as well as, you know, being able to just enjoy the subtitles, not have to worry about it, you know. So, but stay away from this section. I don't need him coming after me.
Is there anything in particular that really, really burns you about current fandom? Or has it really changed over the years? Things that really have irked you? No.
It's the same. I mean, you change the format name and you can go back 10 years and have the same complaints. The same issues are all there, and it's always, as I was saying at the controversy panel last night, was you can always end every argument somebody says with, and that's why I'm not buying it. And that's dominated conversation for the 15 years that I've been doing this to some degree or another. So, you know, that just gets to me. Yeah, you can look at that pile, that's right. Almost real life, it's fun. You can come up and take the whole table.
Okay.